Okay, hi everyone. I am not, for the last time, interrupting this podcast to have a quick chat with you. If you didn't know already, we are all based in Christchurch, New Zealand. You probably know that some gnarly stuff went down in Christchurch very, very recently. Just last Friday, in fact, and it didn't feel right to start this episode without acknowledging that. First of all, I guess most importantly, we just want to express our condolences and our love and our support for the victims of the attack that happened in Christchurch. Our Muslim community was attacked in the most violent and foul way. It's really hard to put this stuff into words, actually, but our thoughts are with you 100%. It's affected us all, everyone on the team, really badly. And as these things do, it led us to wonder whether we should stick to our little schedule, whether we should carry on, whether we should release our episode today, the release date of this episode being Monday the 25th of March 2019. But we did a bit of talking, we did a bit of thinking, and as much as it sounds like a cliche, and it's appalling that it's become a cliche, but it's inescapably the world that we live in. If we quit, if we stop doing it, if we don't release an episode, then what? Then hate wins, right? So we decided, no, this is stuff we believe in and important stuff, and we want to do it. We want to put this out. So we're sticking to our schedule. And secondly, because of who we're talking to, SONYA RENEE Taylor, and because of what she talks about, having a lot to do with love versus hate, we figured actually maybe it's a good idea to release this now. There's obviously some of the usual stuff in there as well. We start by talking about our bodies, and then in the interview with SONYA, as I've mentioned, you're going to hear some chat around love versus hate. You're also going to hear some chat about privilege. Okay, so I guess trigger warning, the words white supremacy are mentioned, not in the context of what's happened, but they are mentioned. And I mention that because when I was sitting editing it, I heard those words and I went, oh shit, okay, wow, this is happening. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention. It's just a fleeting mention, but it's there. We also talk about what it means to be a Kiwi, which is so super pertinent right now. But you know what? The end of the episode is just really lovely. It's just really nice. So we just wanted to put something at the start of this episode to acknowledge what's happened, to acknowledge the people that it's happened to, and the city it's happened to, and the country it's happened to, and actually just the world it's happened to, I suppose. But I'm going to stop this message there, and I'm just going to drop in to the episode where it would have started had nothing happened last Friday. I hope you enjoy. Much love to you all. Be nice to each other. Talk to people. And let love conquer hate, I suppose, is the thing. Okay, the episode starts now. Are you sure you're... don't just want to stop now and get some food?
No.
Are you flaking?
No.
Okay, let's do it.
Cool Bodies Club is a monthly podcast that celebrates bodies because we believe that all bodies are cool bodies.
This episode was recorded on the 3rd of February 2019. Hi Sarah.
Hey Mike.
Hi Gemma.
Kia ora, Mike.
You guys have to say hello because otherwise it's awkward now.
Hi Sarah.
Good.
Hi.
Good. Excellent. Look at us. Look at us recording a podcast. I like the catering.
Thank you. I did a really good job. I cannot believe.
Snacking it up hard.
My snack game is so on at the moment.
It's very strong.
It's pretty chic.
Gemma.
Yes.
Where's your body at?
I'm so disappointed in my body this week. I am super disappointed because I went to get my earwax removed. I went to get earwax removal, and I thought I had a lot of wax inside my ears. I was super excited. I'm just like, they're going to pull chunks. I'm going to video this and put it on YouTube and get millions of views. You know, I was really thinking that I was going to be surprised and excited and grossed out by my body, and I totally wasn't. I had nothing in there, basically. Just around the entrance to my ear holes, I had a little bit. Because, when you stick your finger in and you scrape it and you're like, ugh, gross. And Hazel, my partner, is always just like, oh, you've got so much gross earwax. And so I was like, I am going to be just their favourite patient because she's going to be like... So I get it in there and Ina, lovely Ina, goes
and... It sounds quite ear-like.
I know, it's basically ear. And she had a look inside my ear and she's like, there's not a lot in there, Gemma. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, She said, Gemma, I'm sure you've got a lot of talents, but producing earwax is not one of them. And I was just like, burn. I know, it was such a sick burn.
When you want validation from your eartologist.
And so
they burn you.
I thought I was going to have a really great story, but really, I just had a real...
Were you thinking it was going to be like one of those blackhead extraction videos on YouTube or something?
Yeah.
What? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
I
don't watch them because I cannot deal.
I mean, I'm a man who's been down a number of YouTube holes, but that's not one I've been down. I've not stumbled across that one yet.
Oh, I'm really sad for you.
I'll have to go looking for it now.
Oh, it's everywhere, and it's a big hole, bigger than all the blackhead holes you'll see. No, they didn't really work. Wow. Anyway, so my body has been a bit disappointing this week. How's your body, Sarah? Where's your body at, Sarah?
My body is sore.
Why?
Because I went to see my personal trainer yesterday for the first time in 6 months.
Oh, they wouldn't have been happy about that. You were set up to get punished there, yes. So sounds about it.
Yeah, I was set up to get punished, and I was punished. But it was amazing. I lifted lots of heavy, heavy stuff.
How many pull-ups can you do now?
We didn't try pull-ups, actually, this time around. But I think I did smash my goal earlier in the year.
Yes. What's your goal been?
Well, it doesn't sound super impressive, but just so you know, it really fucking is. 10.
Nice.
Do
you do it with your hands facing away from you or facing towards you?
My hands facing towards me. And so my hands are like right up above my, like really far away from my body. As far away from my body as I possibly could be. So you're lifting like when you're fully extended.
You did 10 at full extension?
Yeah.
That is horrible.
Yeah.
That is awful.
Yeah.
But awesome. High fives.
Thanks, mate.
Actual high five sound.
Totally. Perfect.
Where's your body at, Mike?
Where's my body at? So basically, this sounds real flash, but my mate got a hot tub because someone was about to put it in the bin. And he said, hold up. Like a huge bin, obviously. And he's adopted it and installed it at his house. So we've just been lurking in this hot tub. He's been learning lots about science and making the water not funky. My wife likes to refer to it as the hep tub.
Oh,
she's not getting in.
She's a doctor.
Yeah, yes.
I trust her.
So yeah, I've been lurking in the hot tub. I was in there last night until like 10:30, and it's outside. Under the stars with a view. It's lovely. But anyway, the body part of it, because it sounds like I'm just humble bragging, hijacking my friend's hot tub. But here's the thing, the body thing about it. Lurking around there in my swim shorts, with lads. Mm-hmm. And it made me think about how little team sports I'd ever done. So I've never done which is, I know, right? It's a bit of a tenuous
team sport.
Right? There was I've never done the rugby thing or the football thing, with the showers and the whipping with the towels and the, dicks everywhere. I've never ever done that. So I was the reason I was thinking of it, because I was reasonably self-conscious, Is
everyone naked in there?
No, we've all got shorts on. Yeah. Nakedness happens in that hot tub. I've heard, but my wife is very much. She's less worried about the hepatitis than she is about the nakedness. She's just like, no, not for you. But yeah, it just made me. I was conscious of my body and my increasing dad bod and the lack of chin ups that I've been doing.
Now, the reference to team sports and that. Do you think because you haven't been around males?
Probably.
Yeah.
I just haven't been around. I spend very little time around naked men. As a general rule.
It's interesting.
Not that we were naked, just as well.
I was hanging out with your wife the other day. We were all hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
And we were talking about
I was there.
Body stuff. Yeah, you were there. And Laura was talking about how infinite the variety of bodies is.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting too, because we have this huge pressure sometimes, or feelings of how we should kind of fit in, but oh my god, variety, infiniteness of the body. It's a real thing.
And no one, just to be clear, no one made me feel ashamed of my body or said anything or implied
like, what's
anything. They're just like, what is that, Mike?
Did you just feel a weird sense of pressure or something?
Yeah, there was some sense, there was something.
Yeah.
But do you think
they're friends of mine as well, so...
Do you think that has to do with the lack of team sports or just a general societal pressure to be a certain way? Because it's like the jump from like hot tub to team sports for me. It was just like...
It just made me think.
I guess they're connected in some ways, because I think what you're saying is like two things happening here, which is maybe you've not been around like heaps of male bodies.
Not really.
You know, and especially maybe in a hot tub or whatever.
Like a sports bath.
And then you've also got this other thing of like body image, ideals, things, pressure, society going on. Potentially.
There's the combo is always an option.
I think
They're
there's a
all
combo in
swimming
there.
around this hot tub.
Yeah. Literally just in the soup of my own making, and
Whoa, baby.
The hips.
sort of the hips. It's a lovely, clean hot tub. My friend has become
pH.
quite the expert on setting the levels and everything. It's become quite an obsession.
I recall you did actually describe it to me as a little bit green.
That was once. After a lot of visits. A lot of bodies were through it one day.
Oh, that's so gross.
I can just imagine this like slimy slide of like people going like in and out.
No, it's lovely and it's very well looked after and maintained.
Good, that's what we like to hear. You got to look after these things if you're going to dip your body in it.
Who are you talking to today, Sarah?
I'm talking to SONYA RENEE Taylor.
Off of the book, The Body Is Not an Apology by SONYA RENEE Taylor.
The author, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and she also wrote an amazing book about puberty as well.
Called Celebrate Your Body. Woo! And it's changes too. The ultimate puberty book for girls.
Right?
Yes.
That's right.
That's so cool.
Quick boring bit of admin. I'm not actually in this episode after this point because of a really boring story that I don't need to go into. But hey, there we are.
We missed you.
We did.
Thanks. Hello, it's me, it's Mike. Sorry for interrupting the podcast.
No, you're not.
I'm not sorry at all.
Not at all.
I hope you're enjoying it though, genuinely. By now you know that we're here to celebrate all bodies because all bodies are cool bodies. You can help us spread this message and activate real change by donating to us. Your donation will help us create a second season of Cool Bodies Club. Just imagine.
Oh my gosh,
more
that's
of
the
this
best.
noise and expand our plans for general world domination. So head on over to coolbodies.club/donate. Okay.
Say it again.
Cool Bodies Club. Coolbodies.club/donate.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the podcast.
Hi, I am SONYA RENEE Taylor. I am the founder and radical executive officer of The Body Is Not an Apology. We are a digital media and education company committed to radical self-love as the foundational tool for social justice and global transformation. I'm also an author and an activist and a serious macaroni and cheese maker and a lover of a Yorkshire Terrier named Anastasia Duchess.
Oh my God, cute. Do you know what? I've actually seen your little dog because I saw you talk at the Word Festival in Christchurch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
And you met Anastasia. She was with me.
Yeah. Oh my God, so freaking cute. Like,
Thank you.
That's
She knows it is the problem. She's very clear. She's adorable.
she's pretty irresistible, I have to say. So do you take her around with you a wee bit?
Yeah, generally, she's 11 years old, and I've had her since she was 8 weeks. So we made the journey all the way to Aotearoa. So yeah.
That's so special. I love having animal friends.
Yes, she's kind of my life partner.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's so cute. I love that. So we're here today to talk about bodies, and I feel like this is a bit of a funny question to ask you actually, because your book is mostly about deconstructing a lot of myths or unraveling a lot of myths that we've been taught about bodies. But the question is, What is one lie you have been told about having a body?
I think the biggest lie that I've been told about having a body is that there is a wrong way to have a body, right? That there is somehow, and that very specific quote, "there's no wrong way to have a body," comes from an awesome activist out of New York named Glenn Marlowe. But I think that it really just sums up like the sort of entire mythology about bodies, the idea that there are wrong bodies and right bodies, as if like as if, right, I'm like, as that just doesn't make any sense.
No.
Like you get a body and it does what it does. Like you get a body and it will have awesome things about it and it'll have some not great things about it. And if the body allows you to like be alive on the planet and do the things you need to do as a human being, then it's a cool body. Great. It's totally. The body. Like in some ways it's like the idea of having bad socks. Like are they on your feet in place and are they keeping your feet warm? Then they're fine socks.
Exactly.
Right?
I know. It's kind of bonkers. And I think when you really start to think about it as well, you just like, for me, I had this moment of almost like, I think, grief, when I started to really look at these systems and go, oh my God, they're all big giant myths and lies. And it's like, oh, like that is so sad. It's such a
and it's sad because we really believe it, right? And because we've structured our lives on top of those myths, right? Like if the myth that thin bodies are better bodies is not true, then the years that I have spent trying to get thin were wasted years, right? And like, what an uncomfortable thing to contend with, the amount of time and energy and money we have given away to a lie.
Yeah. And also I think another concept for me that I've been like grappling with quite a lot recently as well is when you have a system that essentially oppresses a group of people, like these systems that around bodies. What also inherently happens in that scenario is that someone's value, like someone can't fulfill their full value under that system. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like you can't reach, like because you're capped, in a way. I mean, I know we can break through these systems, but it feels like there's this that force is so powerful that I wonder how much we miss out on. I wonder how much we miss out on. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that we don't, I like to say that oppression oppresses everyone, including the oppressor, because no one gets to live in the fullness of their human capability under systems of oppression. Like being engaged in oppression steals pieces of your humanity. So if you're someone who is oppressing someone, there is a part of you that is lost in that system, right? And if you're a person being oppressed, there's the constant, I was on tour with my bestie in Australia a couple of years ago, and we were there with a friend who brought us out to perform. And we were sitting at this gorgeous restaurant, like drinking cocktails and overlooking the Blue Mountains or something ridiculously beautiful. And we were having this conversation, and it was like, what would you be doing if there was no oppression in the world? Like what would, because one, like my entire life is kind of built around the reality that there's oppression in the world. And so everything I do, is all about like trying to dismantle that. So right now, like if oppression stopped tomorrow, I would have to find a new gig, which, I'm down for, but, but there was just this moment of being in the imagination of what would be. And I was like, you know what? I think I would collect rare roses and like, and I was like, I think I'd study birds. And I think, I think I'd be doing something really beautiful and amazing that oppression doesn't leave time to do now, And so I think that's true for a lot of folks.
Yeah, I really feel you on that front. And sometimes I feel like I have even like a little bit of a complicated relationship with the fact that I have been so pushed to need to have these conversations or address these issues because I'm like,
oh, the only reason I'm needing to do this is because something needs to change. And, you know, when you've already lived a life where you feel those systems of oppression on the daily or whatever, it's kind of like there's a certain frustration that comes with that, I think, too, where it's like, you know, I'm doing this and that feels right to me, but also I'm doing in response to lots of things that don't feel that nice.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's one of the reasons why in conversations about oppression and like when, you know, people are like, I would listen if you would just be nicer. And I'm just like, guess what? People are really angry.
Totally.
It's a really fair response to decades, centuries of oppression.
Yeah.
Anger is an appropriate response to centuries of oppression. And so if people aren't super patient with you as you finally awaken to the ways in which you may have been causing them harm, you might need to practice a little patience in that space, you know?
100%.
And so I think it's this thing to keep reminding people that, like, the way I talk about it is, all of us at some point have to get on the train that interrupts our privilege. All of us will have to get on the train so that we can get to where we're going. But there are people who've been on that train for a really long time, and they're frustrated because the train hasn't been able to move because they've been waiting on you. Now you're on the train, right? And so, and the train is crowded. So when you get on the train, you're going to step on someone's foot. You need to hold space for people to say, ouch. The people on the train need to try to scoot down so that the journey can continue. And everybody's going to have to make some concessions if we actually want to get to the world we say we want.
That's a really, yep. It's a great way of putting it. So a bit of a harder question, which is, have you had any difficult experiences relating to your body that you'd like to share with us, and then how you managed working through that?
I mean, it feels like a really big, giant question, because I think, I'm a fat, black, bald, queer woman in New Zealand. So yes, there's a whole host of potential issues that I've had to navigate.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I think what is the most true is that all of the work that I do as it relates to the body is not an apology started with me. It started with me grappling with my own identity, grappling with my own issues around my body, and then starting to see connections for myself that I thought were like, oh, this can't just be me. So let me share it in the larger world, because it can't just be me, you know? One of the biggest sort of areas of body shame that I struggled with when I first started The Body Is Not an Apology was I had really significant hair shame. I grew up with a mother who braided my hair very tightly when I was a young girl. And so she permanently damaged the hair follicles on the side of my hair, which is called traction alopecia.
Yeah.
And so I got teased unmercifully. It was bad. And I spent years really working, trying to hide that shame, trying to deflect it. I wore wigs for years and years and years. And I realized, I guess maybe about 6 months after the first time we started the Facebook page, that I was like, I tell people to wake up and love themselves unapologetically every day. And then I put on this wig to go do whatever it is that I have to do. And I put it on because I don't feel unapologetic, because I feel a deep sense of shame. And I don't think that I can, with any sense of integrity, keep growing this movement while being dishonest about the places, where I'm not doing the work. And so I was like, I'm going to have to do something really drastic to get out of this hair shame. And so my question was, what's the scariest thing I could do to address it? The scariest thing I could do is be bald in the world, because the entirety of my belief is that my hair makes me beautiful. And because I don't have gray hair, I'm ugly. And so if I don't have any hair, then I'm certainly ugly. And so that's the biggest fear. The only way to tackle the biggest fear is to tackle the biggest fear, to go do the thing you're afraid of and see if it's true.
Yeah.
And so I decided that I was going to go bald for 30 days and challenge this big belief. But I also knew that for me, one of the things that really helps me do this work is not doing it in isolation. I'm pretty much will do anything I'm scared of if I can convince somebody else to do it with me. And so I started an entire project. I call it the Ruckus Project. I did, which stands for Radically Unapologetic Healing Challenge for Us, which is a 30-day healing challenge. I invited other people to do their own ruckuses. I video recorded the entire 30 days. And through that process of tackling that big fear, doing it in community, and just really letting myself let go of that shame by having to just address it head on. Yeah. It really did work, and it really did transform the way that I understood myself. And that was 8 years ago. I've not grown my hair back since because hair is overrated.
I love it. I like what you said about bringing people in, Yeah. We can't do it alone. The isolation is how oppression thrives. By making us feel disconnected, by making us feel like we're all alone in it, by making us feel like it's a dog-eat-dog world and individualism, and all of those things are part of a system that hasn't served us. So the system that so again, for me, it's like, well, what's the opposite of that? The opposite of that is community and vulnerability. Well, then that's what I'm going to practice, because I think that's, that must be the direction we need to go, since that way we're going isn't working. Yeah. So in your book, you talk a lot about being an ally.
I usually talk more about being in solidarity.
Okay. Can you talk about some of the ways that we as humans can be in solidarity with others? Yeah,
absolutely. So I think that the sort of first step of solidarity is recognizing that our fates are interconnected. It's part of the reason why I use solidarity rather than allyship. Allyship has this idea of like, I want to help you do the thing you're doing. Right. And I'm like, I don't want you to help me do the thing I'm doing. Like racism is my problem. You want to help me with? No. And so I think that what I rather see is someone who says racism has a detrimental impact on me, that the structure of white supremacy in the world has a detrimental impact on me as a white person. And so I am invested alongside people of color in dismantling that harmful system. Yeah. That's solidarity. Yeah. And I think that the best ways that we can be in solidarity with communities that are outside of our own is to begin to first recognize where we hold privilege. Because where we hold privilege is where we cause harm. Because there can't be privilege without harm. Because privilege automatically says, I gave you something that I'm not giving somebody else, which means that other people are hurting, right? It means that they are not getting what they need, which means that your privilege is harmful. And so the first thing is to awaken ourselves to the ways in which we are the default body, which I talk about in the book. Yeah. Default bodies, the body that we just assume is the normal body, air quotes, right? And so recognizing that. So for me, as a cisgendered woman, I am the default of gender identity, right? That when people think of woman, they think of certain body parts, they think of all of these things that are true about my body. And so what that helps me notice is, well, if I'm the default body, then how are they treating the bodies that aren't default bodies? Like if I get these things, then that means these people aren't getting those things. So now my job is to say, how do I leverage my privilege to help people get the things that they are supposed to have? Yeah. And I think this is the part that makes people uncomfortable. And what do I need to give up that is more than I'm supposed to have? And I think that that's the place where people get really uncomfortable, because it does mean you have to give up something. Because it's not equal, because it's not equitable, because you weren't supposed to have it to begin with. Yes. And so I think that that's the place where folks, that's where it gets complicated. But I really feel like that's where we can start to make changes, saying, where are my spaces of privilege? How do I leverage my privilege to get people what it is that they should have? And what are the things that I am holding on to from my privilege that I need to be willing to relinquish?
One thing I've noticed about the privilege thing is how difficult it seems for people who are in a position of privilege to recognize that that is the space that they're in.
Yeah, well, it's because we don't think about other people's bodies. We don't think about other people, right? And so it doesn't occur to us that we're in privilege because other people's lives don't occur to us. And so for me, the work is to, when I go and give a speech in some place, the first thing I say is, who is not in the room? Look around, and in what ways does the room look just like you? Either through the lens of gender or age or race or physical ability. In what ways does the room look just like you? Mm-hmm. Now think about those people who aren't that. That's who should be here, who's not. And that's how we raise to consciousness outside of our own privilege. But in order to see our privilege, we've got to actually think about other people beside ourselves. We've got to stop seeing ourselves as the default.
Yeah. Sometimes I think about, there's been points in my life where I felt deeply frustrated, I guess, by the inability to connect the dots on that, I think
that there are ways we can be, I think there are practical, silly ways. Make a list, write down racial identities, physical abilities, genders, all the things, right? And the top of the list is all the things that you are. And then what are all the other things that you can think of that are possible, while recognizing that you still have the shortest list in the world? You're missing all kinds of folks. But at least you begin to physically see there are other people in the world who move differently, who have different needs, who speak different languages, who have different customs, who have different bodies than I do. And thinking about those people, thinking about their experiences, reading books about their experiences, looking up stuff, inviting yourself out of your own world and into the world of others.
I think it's the only way as humans we can really move forward. I mean, when we're all putting these limitations and these systems in place and oppression, it's like we're literally stuck. It's like the analogy of the train. We're stuck, Yeah.
Can't go anywhere. You can't go anywhere.
So this next question is, what is a cool thing about being in your body, being you?
I love that my body takes up the space that it takes up, and I love that I'm in a place where I don't mind that at all, that I actually love it. Yeah. And I love that because I'm so committed to being unapologetically in my body, it physically impacts the spaces that I'm in. It's really weird. I used to wonder, I was like, why do people always staring at me? I feel like I got a booger. And then I've said that several times, and several people have said, it's the way you move through a space. Like you are okay in yourself. And I recognize that we live in a world where we're not taught to be okay in ourselves. And so when people see that, they are drawn to it and kind of mind blown about it and excited, but also afraid, or maybe, for some people that's really repelling because they have so much stuff around being seen. But I love that. I love that. I love that I am so in me that it materially impacts the spaces that I'm in. It's yummy. And some days I feel I feel 7 feet tall. I feel some days it feels like that. I feel ginormous. Yeah. But the planet, the ocean is ginormous. Yeah. That kind of depth and width. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're infinite, aren't we? Of who we are.
We are
what
infinite.
We can be,
Exactly. And I think that's the thing that's important is that's not some special thing Sonya has, right? It's not like there's some specific thing about me. No, it is that I've just tapped into what it is we all are, which is radical self-love.
Yeah.
Right. And I've tapped into my radical self-love enough that people see it.
Yeah.
The
next question I was about to ask you was, what are you most proud of as a person? And I'm like, man, you should be quite proud of that. That's pretty amazing.
I think that it's related to that, but it's not exactly that. Is that I think I'm most proud that I actually really believe this. That I really believe in the power of radical self-love, and I believe in the power of radical love to transform human beings. And I live it. I live it when it's really hard. And some days it's really hard. Yeah. Somebody tried to steal my car this weekend. And they pulled the entire panel under the steering wheel out and all the wires, and they broke my arm. And then it's just like my car I've had for like 6 months. A new car.
Sorry to hear
and I wasn't feeling very radically loving in the moment. I felt, like some vengeful Scorpio fire.
Holy shit. That's all I can say to that.
You're right. I was like, I want bad things to happen to them. And then I just kind of like had to gather myself. And I was like, I don't want bad things to happen to them. I want whatever it is that is lacking in them that made them be so reckless and cause harm to others. I want whatever that is healed.
Yeah.
That's what I want. And so, yeah, I feel really proud that even when I don't start off at that place, I'm able to get there.
Yeah. Slowly inch your way closer and closer to that space. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome. How you going? You good? Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, good. Thanks for those juicy questions.
Ah, no worries. Thanks for the juicy answers. All right, I'm just going to go Gemma.
Into the bin. Okay, so our next segment is called Into the Bin, where you tell us a word that you would just like to see disposed of.
I think I'm tossing the word butt into the bin. not B-U-T-T. I like butts, not booties, but I like those. But because it is a word of negation. Because it's like, hey, I said a thing. Now scratch everything I just said because I'm only going to say the thing. And it's such a silly, and because I think that but is a word that so often disqualifies nuance, right? The reality is we're not really but human beings. We're and human beings, right? Because we are often this and this at the same time and that, right? And we like to think that we're this, or that, right? That I mean, I would never do that, but you do you, right? It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't believe you. And so I think that but is sort of like the foundation of comparison. And comparison is just such an act of self-harm. I think that but pushes us into just really small boxes about the way that humans are in the world, and that we are complicated and messy and nuanced and layered, and that's almost always an and situation and not a but situation.
So is it kind of like if I was saying, I'm awesome, but I have this little thing, that sort of juxtaposition of, using the word but. Is it kind of like using just in an email, I'm just getting in touch. It sort of brings it down, It's like it's padding, or I suppose that's kind of different because that just is padding, but is a differentiation. But
both of them are. I think both of them are about minimization. Both of them are about shrinking a thing, right? So I'm saying a thing, but it's small. Don't put too much weight on it, or right, or I'm good. But not as good as as I could be, and so it's a shrinking, it's a reduction, and I think that it's oftentimes too, I hear people do it all the time, like in relationships, it's like, you look amazing in that, but I would look awful, right? Could you just, right? So there are these ways in which we use it to whittle ourselves down, And I just think it's like when I go to say but, I just stop. And I'm like, usually because, right, hold it. And oftentimes I'm just holding it because two things can be true at the same time. And so I don't actually need the but. It is this and this.
Is that sort of an intersectional feminist idea, getting rid of the but, because I am all of these many facets? Does that sort of play into you wanting to remove the butt?
I definitely think so. I certainly am not positing it as, some theoretical framework intersectional feminists around the world are using. That's not what I'm proposing. Yeah. Maybe it will be now, but I am me, I think that, yes, part of intersectionality is understanding that there are multiple angles, right? Intersections at which we all live, intersections at which we experience our own identities, intersections at the ways in which the world experiences our identities. And the word but often keeps us from being able to see the fullness of those intersections, right? It just shrinks things. It minimizes and reduces. And I'm against anything at this point. I'm interested in nothing that tells me I need to be smaller, including the word but.
Yes. So it's like, instead of saying the word but, would you say people just need to stop there? Don't say but.
Yeah. When you go to hear but, just stop. Let your first thought be a complete sentence. And oftentimes when you don't say but, you can hear the thing you were about to say next as some bullshit. Like, oh, I was about to say some bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you just stop and don't put the but, you actually have to think about the next thing. And then you can actually be in integrity about whether or not it's aligned with where you really want to be speaking about your life.
It definitely feels like the but thing is like a response to like learnt messages that you're sort of meant to have. You know, it's like
absolutely
really you're actively participating in that narrative that's actually harmful to you when you do that.
Yeah, New Zealanders are very modest. I don't know if you've I
know all about tall poppy syndrome and the whole thing. Yeah. I feel like I've been sent here specifically to interrupt.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's something I've definitely noticed about being a Kiwi. It's like, oh, but
I find it excruciating.
Yeah, it is excruciating.
Yeah.
It's compacting, right? Like I feel like, and I mean, it feels this way energetically, and even under the ground, that it is a country of people wanting to burst forth.
Yeah, totally.
You know, it's just like, oh, we're so contained and we're so tired of it.
Yeah, totally. And we're at the bottom of the world, so we just like,
I think there's this desire to like actually be allowed to be fully self-expressed. Yeah. And fully in ourselves. And the distinction between being fully in ourselves doesn't mean arrogance, doesn't mean I'm fully in myself, which means that I consider you smaller, right? Because all of those things are scarcity mentalities. There isn't enough room for me to be in my full self and you to be in your full self. So both of us have to shrink ourselves. And I'm proposing that there's no such thing as too much light, right? And so I get to be in my full shine and you get to be in your full shine, and then we just have a world that's brighter. I'm here for that.
I'm so here for that. Like, I freaking so here for that. High fives all around. Yeah, high five to you. Virtual high five. Yeah, and I guess because when we can exist in our full shine as well, like when you're super shining, you don't need to do a compare and contrast, you know? You don't need to do those systems anymore. That just melts away, I think.
Exactly. Hierarchy becomes not necessary.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what's magical to me about this idea of radical self-love is that when I am self-generating, I don't need other people to be less than for me to be enough.
Yeah, totally.
Right? And so then the whole system falls. The whole system doesn't have anything to stand on anymore.
Yeah.
Do you think when people feel threatened of somebody's shine, you might have talked about this in the interview, but that's part of they are lacking in their self-love? Like, or they don't want to take up space, or they feel their space has been impacted.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I believe that anytime someone is like bothered by someone else's being in a way that is not harming or impacting them, right? Like their being is not harming or impacting me. If I have some sort of adverse response to that, it is more than likely a conditioning into a system of body terrorism and body hierarchy.
Yeah.
It is about not being able to be enough if this person is this good, right? Like, if I've decided that the hierarchy is true, when somebody's shining, then that must mean I'm below them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so, where is that not indicting to feel less than someone? Right.
Yeah.
And so many of the systems of oppression that we live in are rooted in that idea that I need bodies that are lesser than me in order for me to be valuable.
It's capitalism at its finest.
And that is exactly capitalism at its finest.
It's so strange.
Absolutely.
Like the way that humans need to do this categorizing in such really binary and like boxed in ways. It's like, what is with that? It's just so strange.
Some of it, some of it is evolutionary, and I talk about this in the book a little bit, right? Like some of it is evolutionary. You used to have small clans of families, and if somebody and their aunt, there was limited food. Like if I killed a wild boar, that needed to feed all my people. If you came over here and stole my wild boar, now my family starves and we die. There are some things on the line, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't live in that world anymore, right?
Nope, we don't.
And the problem is that we've established different kinds of resources on those same premises and instincts. So that's really what capitalism is, right? It's like, how do I hoard the money, right? Now it's not the wild boar anymore, it's the money, right? And then, now that there's this entire sort of economic system, we need to be able to limit who can have access to it. So then we create these other systems like racism that puts those people out, or like heterosexism, which then excludes those people. So that this view of this, because capitalism is inherently rooted in scarcity, right? That you have to have a limited market, then we are all governed by, how do I get my piece of that tiny pie? I offer that all of that is a mythology, like we were talking about earlier. That it's rooted. The reality is we have enough resource on this planet for every single human to be fed and sheltered and taken care of. We have enough to make sure that there is not one hungry body on this entire planet. And we choose not to because we have not outdone that scarcity model, which then puts us in this hierarchical system. I really believe that, I say in my workshops, okay, now that I've told you all about the system of body terrorism and all this horrible stuff, and everybody feels angry and mad, what do we do? The answer, radically love yourself. Stop saying but.
Absolutely.
Stop participating in the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Turn it here and divest here first, and then watch the way all of that begins to crumble the foundations of those other systems.
Yeah. Hey, Sonya, I'm just wondering whether it might be worthwhile giving us a definition of radical self-love.
Absolutely, sure. So we pull the definition of radical self-love quite literally from the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. It's quite literal. And so the dictionary describes radical as having 5 definitions, one being going to the root or foundation of a thing. The second being thoroughgoing or extreme. Proposing drastic political, economic, and social changes found inherently in an item or found inherently in a thing. So root of the foundation, I'm forgetting one. Maybe it's 4. I'll see if there's another. We'll go with 4 for now. And so I believe that the self-love that I espouse and the self-love that we talk about at The Body Is Not an Apology is one, we believe it exists inherently in us, that you did not come here with a fractured relationship with your body. You've never seen a self-loathing 3-year-old, babies like their toes, they like your farts, they want their elbows, they play in their poop, everything's awesome. And it's gross, but everything's awesome, right? And so that's how we all arrived here, inherently fascinated with and in love with our own bodies and the bodies of other people. And it is through this system of body terrorism and body hierarchy that we've been detached from that inherent knowing. Going to the root of or the foundation of a thing, I don't believe that we can create the world we say we want on top of anything other than deep sense of self-love. The world we already live on is built on top of self-loathing and scarcity and disconnection. And so if we're not trying to recreate that world, then we need a different foundation. And I absolutely believe just like Martin Luther King Jr. believed, just like Gandhi believed, just like Jesus believed, that love is that foundation. So I'm not saying anything new in that. All the other people said it before me. I propose a kind of love that changes systems, that doesn't just change us individually, but changes the economic, political, and social realities that we live in. Because we just talked about capitalism as a system that exists as a byproduct of our belief in scarcity and our disconnection from ourselves and others, right? And so radical self-love changes that system. When we are deeply connected to that, we don't need that system anymore. We don't need that system. And so I'm interested in a love that doesn't just change you, but changes the world. And then thoroughgoing and extreme. We live in a thoroughgoing and extreme world as it relates to radical self-hate. We live in a world of complete body shame. We live in a world where entire systems profit off of our self-loathing. And so what we need is a love that is as extreme as the current system that exists.
Yeah.
And so that is why it must be radical self-love.
I love the word radical.
Yeah.
I do too, right? It's juicy.
Yeah.
It's like electric.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good.
Cool stuff. So we would love to hear about something or somebody or a thing that you just absolutely think is the coolest.
All right, so I'm going to be cheesy. It's going to be a little bit not like about bodies necessarily, but it's kind of
No,
about
that's
it.
totally fine. Yeah.
So my cool stuff right now is my new partner.
Oh, yay! That's so nice.
Yay, love.
Yes. My love, Emma, is my cool find.
Oh, that's so lovely. I might like cry.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
that's so
I'm like
nice.
cool stuff. What do I think is cool? What's inspiring me? What
Yeah.
makes me happy right now? It's them.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that's so lovely.
Love is so epic.
Yeah,
Like,
it's cute.
Love is so epic. It
Yeah.
is so epic. And it's like, I feel like, I was single for 3 years and in a really rough relationship before that for a year and a half. And so this relationship is like, I don't know if you all have plants. I don't have any. I have a couple of plants in this house, but I used to have other plants.
Sarah
And all my
loves
friends are
I've
super
got this plant.
Sarah
plant
loves
people these days. Yeah, but if you haven't like watered a plant and it's just like, and it's like, it's like it's living, but it's struggling. and then somebody puts some water on it and it's like, that's how love feels. It's like somebody poured some water on me.
yes.
And now it's like, I have ideas again. I can think. I feel inspired by the world. Yeah.
That's so awesome. Yeah, love is a cool thing.
Yeah.
I've
That was a cool thing.
yeah, I've
I love
recently
love.
I love love. I recently fell in love with someone last year. And I'd been single for ages. And yeah, it is that feeling. And it's the right person and they're a good human and it's just
Yes.
yeah, it is invigorating or something.
It is. It's invigorating. It is. It is. It's nutrients. That's what I was like. I feel nourished, you know? And I think, there are some people who are really wired for like by themselfness and they do it really well. And it's a drudgery for me. Like I can do it, but it's not my best place. My best place is in relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really happy for you. That's so lovely.
Thank you.
I think I might have seen
Thank you.
them in your Instagram, like in your stories.
It is highly, yes. I've done a little bit of Instagramming of them. I have done that. So it's
So cute. Oh,
I know.
oh, that's so nice. All right. Really
Thank
appreciate
you all
your
so
time.
much.
Yeah,
All right.
thanks for your
Bye.
time and energy.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Excuse me, all focus on me now.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you for listening to Cool Bodies Club. Again,
Thanks.
if you love what we do and want to hear more of it,
Love what
Is
we
this
do.
how this is
and
gonna be?
wanna hear more of it.
I love a jingle. You know how much I love a jingle.
What we do and wanna hear more of it.
I'm just going to leave you on a vibe. You were rolling with something and I do not want it to stop. But please, hey, head over if you like that. I mean, if you like that little sing along, please head over to coolbodies.club/donate. Hit the button and give us whatever you can afford, ideally on a monthly basis. That would be
good.
it. So
like
good.
that.
If you can't give cash, subscribing, leaving a review, or telling your friends is also super boss. So that would be cool.
Very boss. I'd love to see a review. Don't leave a bad one. No. Just be nice.
No, like leave whatever you want. It's your feelings.
Unless
I don't know
it's bad.
about that.
No. I disagree.
Give us 5 stars. 5 stars or no stars. No, don't give us stars.
No stars.
No, I mean just like
These are the worst ideas.
No, I think 3 and over is great for us.
Yeah.
We're aiming for a solid 3.
Yeah, please give us what we want. If you want to get in touch with us, you can find us on Instagram at coolbodiesclub, on Twitter at coolbodiesclub, or by emailing hi@coolbodies.club. And also, we are releasing an episode on the last Monday of the month for 6 months. I shouldn't really date it. We are look out for us on the last Monday of each month.
That was cool, but I still love you.
Thank you.
Nailed it.
Oh, thank you. I'm really glad that you are here for me.
Of course.
And I hope you're here for us too, listener.
I think that's... Yeah, we're aiming high, aren't we?
Listener. Like that they're actually listening.
No, that there's one of them.
No, but... Thanks, bye.
Well, I'd love it if there was one and they were listening.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Call that a success.
Just make sure you give us 5 stars.
Oh, it'd be great if they donated too, wouldn't it be?
Yeah. Thanks.
Solid.